if you ever have a point and you know it's on the unit circle and they ask you for the sine value is just the y coordinate. The cosine value just steals the x coordinate. Okay? In exercise 3 here, we're just asked to do a little function notation work with trig. F of x is 6 times the sine of x. Which of the following is the value of f of 60? You're plugging that in. 6 times the sine of 60. Now, you obviously have your calculator, but better. The sine of 60 degrees is root 3 over 2. So that's 6 times root 3 over 2. The 6 and 2 we're going to reduce. Because you could put that 6 over 1, right? 6 divided by 2 is the same thing as, children, 3. Thank you. So your answer is 3 root 3. Exercise 3 gives you a g function. Wants you to find g of 330. So when I plug that in, it's going to be 4 times the cosine of 330 minus 2 times the sine of 330. So we have a little work to do. We're going to pretend like we don't have our calculator because you're going to have to do these without a calculator. What quadrant is 330 in? 4. Very good. So, let's start with the cosine. Is that going to be positive or negative? In the 4th quadrant, cosine is positive. Minus 2 times, what's the sine of that angle going to be? Positive or negative? Negative. Very good. Now, what is the reference angle? This will help us get the value. 30 is the reference angle. If this is 330 and this is 360, our reference is 30. Go to my chart. What's the cosine of 30 degrees? Root 3 over 2. That plugs in this one. What's the sine of 30 degrees? 1/2. So then we're just going to simplify this. So 4 times, that's not a plus sign, that's just showing me positive. 4 times root 3 over 2, your 4 and your 2 reduce, right? To just 2. So we get 2 root 3. Negative 2 times negative 1/2 is first of all a plus. And what's 2 times 1/2? Option 3. Which of the following is not equal to 1? Well, some of these we can just grab from our chart. The cosine of 0 is 1. The sine of 90, that's on our chart, is also 1. The cosine of 360, what's 360's coterminal angle? Yes, 0. 360 and 0 are the same thing. So this is also 1. And this one is obviously the answer because it's the only one that's not equal to 1. What is the sine of 270? So let's think about this for a second. There's 270. All students take calculus. This is interesting because it's between quadrants, yes? Well, what is sine over here? Positive or negative? Negative. What's sine here? Negative. So obviously then it's negative right on there as well, yes? If it's negative to the left and negative to the right, it's still negative here. What's the reference angle of 270? 90. What's the sine of 90? 1. So that answer is negative 1. And then exercise 5 for an angle alpha whose terminal ray lies in the 3rd quadrant. Draw it. Draw it, draw it, draw it. 3rd quadrant. Drop your triangle. For an angle whose terminal ray lies in the 3rd quadrant, it is known that the cosine is negative 0.96. I think it's a little odd. We have to assume, well, I think it would work for any radius length. Just make this 1. I think we should assume that we're in the unit circle. And then because this is over 1, right? That's why. Negative 0.96, just make it a fraction, you put it over 1. So this is the adjacent, which would be here, negative 0.96 over hypotenuse. And then how would we find this? Pythagorean theorem, and then sine would be opposite over hypotenuse. Which two can you eliminate without doing any work at all? John? 3 and 4, because they're positive, and we know this should be negative. And then the Pythagorean theorem will get the rest of that for you. Okay? On the back side, which we're not getting to, no sweat, it's the exact same stuff we did on Friday. Determine the quadrant and determine the reference angle for the trig function. Okie doke? So, Andrew's going to hand out your homework, Andrew, and I'm going to hand out your quizzes. Corrections are going to be due